If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyle and Derrick Caldwell of the Hoyle Financial Group. Welcome to the show, folks, and Happy New Year. We appreciate you joining us here today for Retire Texas Style. My name is Jessica, of course, along here with Derrick Caldwell and Steve Hoyle of the Hoyle Financial Group. Gentlemen, welcome. Glad to be back here with you. Happy New Year's. How you doing?
Yay. I'm glad that 24 is over and excited about 25. We have an inauguration coming up. We have a lot of things going on in this world that we're going to make it a better place in 2025. Right, Derrick?
Yeah, definitely hope so. So better news on the horizon, I think. So we're looking forward to all that. Steve, what's your New Year's resolution, buddy? You got to tell me.
I've been talking about getting these 22 pounds off, and I kept it. I didn't gain any more weight in December, so I'm serious about it. I mean, I did that carnivore keto diet, and I felt great. So it's time. No alcohol. I haven't been drinking for a few weeks anyway, just to make sure, because there's all that sugar in it. Plus, it's just not good for you. I'm going to try to get off Diet Dr. Peppers, and I only drink 3 or 4 44 ounces a day.
Jeez.
Oh,
so,
my God.
I need to drink more water.
Yeah, you do.
It's my vice. People say that I have vodka or something. No, I'd much rather have that 44-ounce Diet Dr. Pepper.
I really, really believe this. I think 2025 is going to be the year that people are really getting serious about their money and their finances. I think coming off of the highly intense political years, really, with President Trump, Biden, Harris, you name it, whoever, in the ballgame here. And as you mentioned, an inauguration coming up in a few weeks. A lot of promises were made by President-elect Trump. We are all waiting to see where these pieces are going to fall. How is it going to impact us, from tariffs to taxes to the economy to the prices of things at the grocery store? How and when are these things going to change, if they change, and how does it impact us? Steve, go ahead.
Jess, I think it's interesting. I've said it forever. Did you fail to plan or plan to fail? You need to ask yourself that. Derrick, we had some clients come in and see us. They actually came to one of our seminars. Then they came in our office and talking to them. And she just told us that they talk about it once a week, once a month. We need to do something about this. And they finally came to see us. And she's like, why didn't we do that 5 years ago? And I started showing her, when you have time on your side, if you have an income plan and it rolls up at 9% every year, whatever that is, the more time you have. I mean, if you retire today, let's get started. But I'm telling you, if you really get started to do it, it's interesting. I was looking last year. We have so many spouses that call us and say, I have no idea what we have. I don't know what idea if we can ever retire, but I'm tired of not knowing. And we're going to come here together and we're going to talk about this. And I'm just going to tell you, if you're that spouse that doesn't know, or if you're single and you still don't know, you need to call us. Derrick has an offer on our website now that I think's really, really interesting. Tell them about it, Mr. Caldwell.
We talked about in years past, and we just kind of harp on it. But, you could give your boss 2 more years of your life, or you can give me 2 hours of your time today. Putting a plan in place is very important, because I'll tell you, guys, when it boils down to what you're saying, Steve, it's fear. Right? It's fear of change, because that is a huge human emotion, right? That, hey, I'm in this 401k and I've been in it for 30 years. It's going along fine right now. Let me tell you that 401ks are extremely limited, guys. You are taking advantage of a infinitesimal amount of the market and the opportunities within that. And different financial products. You have no control over your 401k with that. They give you a couple options, guys, and you're along for the ride. But if you're over 59 and a half, take control of your money, guys. I mean, that's a big fear we see, right? We see another one, Steve, that people are with an advisor that they don't even really like, that they're not doing anything for me, but I've been with them for 8 years or 10 years or 4. And I go see him, once a year. We don't really chat, and he just calls and tells me that he's doing one thing a year or something, but I'm just along for the ride. So if you feel like you're along for the ride, whether it's 401ks, whether it's with your current advisor and everything, you're in the wrong place, guys. I mean, taking control, don't let the fear of change upset you, because the worst thing that can happen, guys, is you get educated on what your money's doing. good things, bad things, what you could take advantage of, what could make your portfolio and your retirement better. That's the worst thing when you leave our office you can walk away with. And I mean, that's a pretty good thing, right, Steve?
It's huge. Derrick, it was interesting. One of my dear friends that's been a client of ours for 20 plus years, he doesn't have any really heirs, doesn't have really a family he needs to leave his money to. So he's kind of self-managed his retirement. And he says, I've done okay. And he has done okay. But it was so interesting when I had lunch with him a few weeks ago and he looked at me and said, Steve, I sat down with Derrick and he showed me with his plan where I would have been in the last 10 years and where I could be moving forward. And he said, it just blew me away. But then again, he's like, I don't care, have no one to leave it to. But wait a minute. Don't you want to make your money work harder and smarter for you? But I mean, it was like hundreds of percentage difference. Derrick, tell me about that.
Well, it's about, looking at your current portfolio, what you're doing. A big thing when we look at those, Steve, is the fees that people are paying, internal expense fees that no one knows about. That's not something, those are prospectuses that they send out, and maybe your advisor moved you to some fund, but there's a huge fee on that and you don't even know it. That's one of the things we look at, and how diversified your portfolio is. Are you taking advantage of new financial products that are out there? Are you taking advantage of annuities and CDs and bonds? And I mean, there's a million different things out there, and finding the right fit for you is very important. That's something that I see a lot when I sit down with potential clients or people that just want some help. Is they're put in a cookie cutter situation. That's not to name any names, but a lot of big firms, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're John, Karen, or Stella. It doesn't matter if you're 60 to 90 years old. They have just specific portfolios they put you in, and you probably have the same thing that your neighbor has.
Yeah, and that's not what happens at Hoyle Financial. I mean, it's very custom and specific, right?
Exactly. I mean, because you have to. Everybody is listening today has a different fear, a different worry, and a different goal with their retirement, right, Steve?
Absolutely. So if you're 59 and a half and you have money in IRAs, 401ks, what you don't realize is most employers allow you to take control of that money. All of a sudden, the things you can do, the growth you can have, the income you can have, but most of all, that added peace of mind of knowing I'm in charge of my destiny in retirement. Call us at Hoyle Financial. For the first 5 callers today, we're going to sit down, as Derrick said, put a whole retirement plan together, but most of all, we're going to get you ready for that final phase of life called retirement. Or if you're in it, we're going to give you a second opinion, and say, look, A or B, which is better for you? The numbers never lie, Jess. That's what it's all about.
So what's stopping people from achieving the American dream? Well, there's a new poll by YouGov that found that the cost of living and housing are at the top of the list. That's not hard to believe. And, of course, making the top 5 was taxes, which, as we know, can move up and down for one reason or another. And also making that top 5 list is the cost of health care, which is, of course, one of the biggest hurdles for retirees. So, Steve and Derrick, what strategies do you use to help clients plan for these critical expenses?
I think just what's so important is to do inflation testing with everything, to figure out, what is inflation going to do to your health care? What's it going to do to longevity? All of those things really matter. And we really experienced that in 2024 so much. Don't you agree, Derrick?
Yeah, and there's a lot of products out there that have inflation adjustments for them. A lot of people get into that if they have a pension, that's kind of the first risk, is that their pension doesn't change or anything. So over the years, they get eaten up by inflation. Their buying power decreases. So there's a lot of things that you could do to combat that. And one of those is fixed index annuities with a inflation adjustment. So as you get older and as you go through the years, you'll get increases to your lifetime income payments. So it's like you get a raise every year that it starts to go up. That way it's not eating as much into your buying power, and you continue to kind of keep up with the Joneses when it comes to inflation and everything. So those are one of the great tools out there to do that. Also, there's a lot of market assets and everything like that. Market portfolios are real big, guys, on diversification and how you utilize them as a tool to combat inflation, because you can't go too safe. When you look at CDs, and that's a big thing the last 2 years, right, Steve, is CDs were, 4, some even 5% and everything. Well, inflation at the time, guys, was 8%. So although we felt good going into those CDs and getting 5%, we're still losing value when it comes to that and purchasing power. So that's something to be aware of, and making sure that you're diversified amongst these different tools to better your position, not just now, but being able to project that out we use a over 100-year inflation rule, but we also stress test it. If you're in an 8% environment with inflation annually, what does your portfolio look like, guys? What your current inflation right now, how does that impact your portfolio? You should be able to answer that. Your advisor should have sit down with you and say, hey, this is what happens in this inflationary environment, what happens in a low inflationary environment, and you should know that your portfolio can handle it, because that's the biggest thing, right, is taking that stress off of you that, hey, we're going to be okay, right, Steve? That, like you talked about, that's options. This is what we're going to do with these different things come up. And these are answers that should be given to you long before they actually happen.
Well, Derrick, I totally agree with that. But I think it's having that written plan. People come to see us all the time. Oh, my advisor's gotten this figured out. Well, bring the copy. Let's look at it. No one has it written down, Derrick. That's the key. Really is having a plan and starting to talk about it. I think it's important to think about the psychology of retirement. I've said for years that when you think about retirement planning, it's 25% about the numbers, and that's what everybody wants to focus on. But it's 75% about the emotions. If you're going to retire, you got to figure out what both of you want to do if you have a spouse. You got to figure out who's going to handle the remote control. You've got to figure it out. And I see so many people over the past 36 years. Yes, Jess, 36 years. Started doing this when I was 25 years old. Derrick, the wrinkles show for it. But honestly, you know what? Y'all got to come together. And I would say that's 40 to 50% of the people don't want to talk about it. That's why they come to see us. We help them talk about it. She wants to stay home with grandkids. He wants to get an RV and travel all the states or go buy this new home in retirement.
The so-called Beatlemania boomers are facing a retirement crisis. There was recently some research done out of Boston College that shows that the youngest baby boomers, who were born between 1960 and 1965, have significantly less wealth than older boomers. If you're wondering why, well, it's because of the Great Recession we all went through in late 07 to 09. It hit them in their peak earning years during their late 40s and 50s, and basically their savings just never recovered. And after the markets tanked, even though they were 15 years or more from retirement, they never got to where they wanted to be. So imagine the same thing happening right now to you, and let's say you're 5 years from retiring. Steve and Derrick, is there a way you can help us protect our financial plan?
Absolutely we can, Jess, but it's so important to understand the sequence of returns. When we do these educational workshops, Derrick really does a great job of explaining to people how it affected them differently. Let's talk about that, Derrick. Don't you think that's really paramount here?
Yeah, everybody's different, and how sequence of returns kind of make it as easy as possible for everybody to understand here is that when you retire, what kind of market is going to be at your disposal in the first 3 to 5 years is very important, because there's a lot of different strategies out there that you need to take advantage of, but you need to have them in place beforehand. And what that comes down to is, as you withdraw money, guys, totally different plan. When you are contributing and putting money in, you're taking advantage of what they call dollar cost averaging, which means you just every paycheck you buy a little bit more, right? Different prices. Well, Without that ability, and you take that away, and then you start taking money out, the sequence of returns, which is how and when your returns from your portfolio, how they affect your portfolio as a whole, and when you withdraw money out, and how you withdraw money out, and where you withdraw money out, are huge factors on the extension of your portfolio into your 90 and 95 years age ranges and everything, because it doesn't really matter how much money you have, guys. There's not a golden rule. It comes down to working smarter, not harder. And same within a budget that you'll create with me and working through that, because how the market reacts is something that your advisor needs to handle for you, and to put a plan in place in advance where if the market does bad, this is what we're going to do. If the market does great, hey, fantastic, we're going to do this. But you can't be reactive on that, and you can't just start blindly taking money out, whether the market's good, bad, whatever. You have to position your funds to address those instances. And yeah, I mean, guys, this would be easy if we knew the next 30 years of your life that there will be no market drops, we're not going to lose any money, and this gravy train will continue. But everybody listening, including everybody on this radio show, we know, guys, we've been through 2008, the 1999 to 2000 bubble. We've been through 2020 COVID. We've seen all those, and those are just in the last 25 years. So if you look at that, we're going to have bad times. That's no doubt about that. So you have to have a plan in place that's going to address those, right, Steve?
Absolutely. Do you have a market protection plan in place? That's what you need to ask yourself. And if you can't answer yes to that, if the answer is you don't know, you need to call us at Hoyle Financial. What goes up can come right back down. Mm-hmm. But if we have a plan in place, we've planned for that to happen, and we're going to strategically make sure that you're okay. Because as we talked about earlier in the show, retirement planning for retirement is all about options. And at Hoyle Financial, we want you to have lots of options in that retirement plan.
Now, Derrick and Steve, I'm going to throw kind of a two-part question at you here, because I know those listening are thinking two things. Okay, I need to make it a priority. I need to come sit down with Steve. I need to make it happen. But I wonder what that first appointment's like. And then they're thinking, well, how much can they help me? Because there's a lot going on with a new president coming in the White House, and I'm really concerned about that. Steve, what are your thoughts to those individuals?
Like I said earlier in the show, it's not about Wall Street. It's not about Pennsylvania Avenue. It's your street. It's your future. It's your plan. It's your responsibility to partner with somebody to have that plan, develop that plan. We're going to do the Texas two-step forward. Then we're going to stop and review it, and then make some more changes to it. What I can tell you, Jess, where the rubber meets the road, for the past 36 years, we've been putting strong plans in place. And every part of that plan, it's not what I learned at Texas Tech and finance school. It's what we learned from our clients. We tested it. We went back and we altered it, and we continue to make it better and better. And that's what it's about. I love to ask people all the time, who you're talking to, who's working with your plan right now, how long have they been in business? Were they here for 2000 when nothing happened? Were they here for the dot-com crash? Were they here for the crash of 2008? No. I'm telling you, we learned so much from our clients for each one of these. But at the end of the day, it's putting a plan in place and having that added peace of mind to know you're going to get to sleep at night. And if you're 59 and a half, we need to get started today on that plan, because you can take control of those monies. That's what it's all about. You may have an old 401k at an old job, an IRA. We'll help you call that company and get that statement. But it's getting started, becoming proactive, and changing every day forward. And then making sure you have a good estate plan, a tax plan, an income plan. That's what we do at Hoyle. I want you to come see us, and whether you're in Austin, Dallas, Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, no matter where you are across Texas, we'll do a Zoom if we need to. We'll sit down in one of our offices, but I want you to experience the Hoyle difference. My name's on the door, and I'm all about showing you how to have a retirement you've always dreamed of.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derrick or a member of the Hoyle Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Investment advice offered through Hoyle Wealth Management, a Texas-registered investment advisor able to provide investment advice in states where it's registered, exempt, or excluded from registration. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of loss, including possible loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here. Content provided is obtained from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to its accuracy or completeness. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyle, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyle is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyle is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.